Okie dokie. Hi everybody. Let's let's see if we can continue to make this work. All right. So here is the deal. First of all, Mr. DeRusi, are you there?
I am. I think I'm getting a phone call though. Hold on.
Okay. Well, you're alive, so there's that. And let's see if we can get a good music bed going. That's nice. All right. So what do we have for today? Looks like we do have at least one person. It says one concurrent viewer there. It says five there. That's fantastic. Um, so, yes, there are people here. So, the plan for today is to move on to the next sort of unit, which is called Post AP. I think they should just call it Unit 6, but wow, that's zoomed in. Um, it is called Post AP, and so we are going to assign that to every section. So for now, you are not going to be able to get to your Unit 5 stuff, which should have been done like 6 weeks ago, but we gave you this last week to do makeup stuff, and um, I think I can assign it to a bunch at the same time. Anyway, and so there's that. I mean, I suppose if you haven't handed in your create task or explore task by now and you're still planning on doing it, go ahead and do that. I think a lot of people are trying to game the system um, as far as, you know, having their third quarter grade and the pass fail grade, and um, you know, figuring out the best way to get a good grade without doing much or any work. And it might be successful now, but that mentality is not going to serve you well um, throughout life. So let's go ahead and take a look at this. Well, first, should we let's see if there's any questions from um, previously, from before that we still need to answer. Um, okay, first of all, for this one, I saw this email just a few seconds ago. I can't do anything with this link. This link is just your link to code. It's not a share link. Okay. Uh, Deadline for performance task. Deadline for credit. Da-da-da-da. Um, what is today? I don't know. Let's say 6/8 is deadline for all work. Are you good with that, Mr. DeRusi?
Sure. I mean, I think, um, yeah, I think I heard some weird thing about not giving work that last week of school. So, I mean,
Okay, well,
just,
this isn't assigning any work. This is allowing people to
yeah, I know
hand
that's what I was
stuff in.
saying. Like, it doesn't, yeah, you should just get your work done. I don't know. Deadlines, due dates, just get it done.
Like, if you're going to do something eventually, you might as well do it on time. And, um, yeah, so, I don't know, get your act together. Or congrats to those who that doesn't affect because they already have a very good grade. That's a good thing. I do believe all of the performance tests are graded and were graded last by Friday, so you could check your grade book or however you check your grades, to see what you got. And do we have did we go over this one? I think we went over this one from before. All right, so let's just go ahead and jump into our last unit, and we'll just leave everything visible because it doesn't terribly matter at this point. We are not necessarily going to, well, we're definitely not going to do all of this. I think we're just going to jump into JavaScript objects, lesson 8. So let's go ahead and put that here. What's today? Lesson 8. Lesson 8. Okay, and so you see I haven't gone through this lesson for this year yet. We'll see if they've made any changes. So, well, let's just watch the video together and we'll see what happens.
Hi, my name is India Irish. I'm a master's student in the Human-Centered Design and Engineering program at University of Washington. I'm all about making people feel comfortable in their environment, and that's what computer science does. It's not just guys hanging out in a in a dungeon coding. That's not what I'm doing. When lists were first introduced, we used an example list of contacts. Each list item was the first name of a contact represented by a string. A more useful list stores a lot more information like last name, email address, phone number, and birthday. To make a contact app with the tools you have now, you might be inclined to make a separate list of each property that a contact can have, like this, where the same number index in each array corresponds to the same contact. This is possible, but it's a lot to keep in sync for any operation. And if we want to delete anyone's contact info, we'll have to perform 5 different delete operations, 1 on each array. Instead, it will be ideal to keep all information related to a single person together in one place. JavaScript can do this by using an object, a group of related properties with assigned values. In this example, each contact is an object with related properties like first name, last name, email, phone number, and birthday. You can see here that each property has a corresponding value. Anything that has a group of related properties can be modeled as an object in code. For example, photo sharing apps like Instagram store a bunch of related properties about a single photo as an object. Let's create a single photo object that just stores values for these properties. First, create a new variable and assign it an empty object, as represented by a pair of curly braces. At this point, photo is an object, but it doesn't get hold any data. To add properties to your object, you can use dot notation, where the name of the object and the properties are connected with a dot. We can use this notation to create and assign new properties in our object, much like we would assign values to a variable. Once we've added properties to our object, we can display its contact using console.log. Notice when the object is printed out, all at once, each property is paired with its corresponding value. Let's go back to our contact example from the beginning. Since we're trying to build a contact list of multiple people, each with related properties, we can make a list of contact objects. Here we're making 2 contact objects, which both have the same related properties, name and phone number. We can then put them and any future friends in a contact list. To access individual objects in our list, we can use bracket notation. Here we're displaying the object stored at index 1. If we want to access individual properties of an object, we can combine bracket notation and dot notation. Here we are displaying only the name of the contact. As we start creating apps that store and process greater amount of data, objects will be increasingly important tools for keeping the data organized and making relationships within the data clear. And fortunately, we can use intuitive names to create and access properties of objects to keep our code understandable.
All right, so what you'll notice, there's the key characteristics of an object are that it's curly brackets and that it's always going to be a key value pair, meaning like person would be the key and then Mary would be the value. separated by a regular colon, which I'm guessing we are going to get to unless they reorganized. This better not be the same video.
The contact app
Yeah,
with
it's the same video.
by
Okay,
string.
so
A more useful list stores a lot.
the contact list is the classic example for an object because it just is such a relatable use for the form of storing information. And they showed how you could use multiple arrays where they had index 0 was the first name of a person, and then an array of last names where index 0 was that person's last name. The problem with that is the reason they said was that if you wanted to delete a person, you'd have to delete an operation or use a delete operation for each array. Another reason why you'd want to use an object notation or an object format is if you don't have a certain piece of information for each person. Like you have 3 contacts, but one of them doesn't have an email, which would mean that you would have a not correct or not even amount of items in that particular list, the email list compared to the first name list array. So it does work better in that form also. Okay, so objects, event, do this. Start code is provided, which creates handlers. Run the program, trigger by both keyboard, mouse, event. Okay, so click. Okay, on event, screen 1, click. We console log event. And okay, so each of the events is characterized as or set up as an object. In this case, it has all of its, where it happened, and this is its X and Y, and you can see it's always going to be a key and a value separated by a colon. Usually there's a comma after each one. Yeah, you can see here how it's a comma, except the last one won't have a comma. And so let's see on screen 1, key down. Okay, yeah, so here is another object with different characteristics, different keys and values. The click starts with the offset X and offset Y and that sort of thing, which is essentially the same as the X and Y because we're using the full screen. And the click has different characteristics. I don't really know if that's the best place to start for objects, but proper dot notation, starter code, click and key down. You do not need dot notation to display individual properties of the event object. Okay, so we need in here, we're going to be, you clicked at plus event dot offset X, and we want a space, so we'll do and event dot offset Y. This is correct. Let's see what happens. Yeah. Okay, so if you recall the let's console log event also. So if you recall from the last one, the object that is created for the click has a characteristic called offset, and if you do event dot offset X, it's referring to this object and putting its value there, just like a variable. It's just like storing a ton of variables. All right, and so yeah, so we have this is going to carry over a bunch. Creating objects with dot notation. Okay, so the code here starts with four different objects, which they have it created as a first declaring the object, meaning like making it an object with the curly brackets, and then putting the information where that's fine. Let's console log student1 so you can see what it's going to look like. Okay, no, not quotes. I want the actual variable student1. Okay, so student1 is an object and it's printing all of its information. You can also, instead of just declaring the variable, just create an object. Then these would need to be commas. Let's see, what do we need here? Student1, oh, and then we wouldn't need to do dot notation. Okay, so the way this is showing you, and the way that I'm not changing here, is creating an object, making this variable student2 an object, and then adding information to that the way that we did list dot addendum, or whatever, the adding an item to the end of a list, an end to an array. This is adding key value pairs to that object. But here we can just create, what is wrong with this? Oh, and then these need to be colons. Okay, this is traditional JavaScript notation where it starts with a curly bracket, ends with a curly bracket, and you have the key, or like category, and then its value, which could be a string, which could be a number, could be a Boolean, true, false, are called Booleans. And so now if we console log student1, it should be the same as this. This is from before when we console logged it as, which actually we can do this. Now, this is all an aside from what we're actually supposed to be doing on this bubble, but to show you here, we are, this is a weird way of going back to blocks, but this is traditional JavaScript notation for an object with curly brackets, key values separated by colon. This one, they are initializing a variable that is the same as the curly brackets. This way is just starting a blank object, and then here they're adding a key name, and then the person, whatever value that is. Then grade is another key with the value, and then another key with the value, just like here, except done a different way. And you can see here they came out the same, even though they're done differently. Now, that really doesn't matter, except that when you have, because JavaScript object notation is such a useful way of organizing data and referencing data, there are what are called JSON files, JavaScript object notation, that are super useful, and other programs use them as a way of referencing. And this is what the notation would look like. Commas after everyone except the last one, colons, and key value pairs start, as opposed to creating a blank one and then adding stuff to it. So let us do what they actually say. And so here, student 5, we are going to do the way they are doing it here, which is they've initialized a blank object, and we are going to do the name of that object dot name and assign it. Remember, this is assignment just like in a regular variable, and that's all this object is a way of organizing a ton of variables in a very useful way. Let's go Mr. and student5 dot grade equals grade, I think I'm in grade 27, and student5 dot on time to class gets the value true always. And so if we oh yeah, this is a string, remember it's words, letters. And then if we console log, which I'm guessing they want you to do, console log student 5, it should give us that object. Okay, and use the pattern from display. Okay, yeah. And next one, array of objects. Okay, so this is another way of, and actually a more common way of using objects is, so an array before we just had separate pieces of information, either strings like words or values, numbers, like a list of them, however many separated by commas. Arrays can also be an entire object with all these pieces of information, however many, can be the first index in the array, and then another object would be the second index in the array. So here we are supposed to add, we are going to add, so we need a empty list for students gets, and here we're just making the variable students an empty array, and then we are going to assign, well, we're not even assigning a position, we're just appending it, meaning just add it to the end. It doesn't matter what order or what index, it's just put one more at the end. So append item, the name of the list we want is students. It's the one I just made. And what we are appending student 1, a student stu, why am I going blind here? Student 1. Okay, so missing semicolon, lovely. So here we have a new list, a new array, and we are adding to that list, we are adding the object called student1, and we could do this for all of them. Does it have us do for all of them? Yeah, let's just go ahead and do it for all of them. Where 2, 3, 4, 5. And then we want to console.log our list of objects, which is called students. So the only thing we're having it do is logging this array that now has 5 items in the list. Each item is an entire object. And now you can see here we have our array that has 5 objects. Each item is an entire object. And of these 5 objects, starting from index 0 through 4, each one is this the object that corresponds to it. And this is a much more common way of seeing having information stored to be accessed, which is the point of storing information, is being able to access it. All right, manipulating. Okay, just as before, when with just regular variables, you could have the name of the variable gets a certain value, and then right after it, use that same variable and give it a different value and completely replaces it. That's what we are going to do here, I believe. End grade for the first person, syntax. Okay, so we are here, we're just accessing it. So instead of consoling log the entire array, we want to console log the name. Oh, we can just do it. Okay, so student 1, okay, students, index 0, dot name. If this comes up with Maya, we're doing correctly. Yeah, okay. So students index 0. Students index 0 is the first student, and it really should be, I would rather have this. Yeah, let's change this. One, and this is not super necessary, but will help us remember how indices work. This is 4. Let me change this. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. And when you're doing this, you don't have to do that. But so we have our list called students. We've added 5 items to it, our 5 different arrays from student 0 to student 4. And the first, or it doesn't matter, the characteristic of the first item in the array, which is the student 0 object, that's this object, dot name is Maya, so this should also work. Nope. Student, oh, I gotta shoot. Let's just do it this way. Yeah, maybe this was a mistake. Not too bad. And I wish they had set it up like this, where you... Oh, so, did I change it? Where instead of doing this, starting with a blank object, and an empty object, and adding stuff to it, actually do the what's going on here? Var student 0, student 0. Why are we having issues here? No, we're good. Like I said, the more common way, or the way that you would actually use to store information, would be the traditional object notation, which is like this, with commas after each line except the last one. Okay, so this is the traditional object notation, and if we console log students 0, students is our array of these 4 objects, and student 0.name is referencing student 0, and then whatever is after the key name. And you can see we just get from this console log, which is the only console log in the only thing that's is this, and we want to have it come up with name and grade of the first person. So we have students index 0.name, and then is in the let's put spaces, I guess we need to do space, plus students index 0 dot grade, no, which I could have done this way, copy students index 0 dot grade. That will give us whatever is after grade in this index 0 plus the word grade in a string. And the other thing that should say Maya is in the 11th grade if we run it and it's correct. Yep, and let's put a space. How about, just because it's hard, you could write a program or write a function that checks for whether it's 11th grade or first grade or second grade, what to put after the number is in grade, and then actually access that. Yeah. And we want display the name of, so in Victoria, the last student is me. So let's do another console log of students, index 4, that's the last one, dot name, and then was on time, and then plus the same thing, dot on time to class. Students index 4 dot on time to class. So this is working just like a really complex way of referencing a variable, but the complexity is because we have so much more control, or so much more. Mr. was, let's put a space there. Okay, so we're referencing this object called student 4, although it is a coincidence that the student 4 is also students index 4. Just to make sure, just a minute, let's do kids, and let's do copy, kids gets this, kids gets this, kids gets. This should be the same thing. Yeah. Okay, so I made my, just to avoid any confusion with students index 0 being student 0, made the list called kids that we can access that way. Let's see here. Strange. Okay. Yeah, I guess that's what they wanted. Yeah. And bubble 7, context app. Once you have the instructions, create a context app, which demonstrates where we're headed in the next few lessons. Pattern. Main difference between photo album and context apps is that before you simply had an array of strings. Now your array will contain objects with multiple pieces of objects. Okay. Use the example of the left and right arrow keys. I don't know if you guys remember this. David After Dentist, that's famous, 10 years ago. Okay, so you can see how here it's referencing whatever this object is, and well, let's just go ahead and build this. And we're gonna need some, they don't have to be GIFs obviously, but let's see what we have so far. We have nothing so far. All right, so we have all of the design elements. So they've given you the foundation, the framework to do this. So that's good. Objects, you've provided some of the user interface elements. Starter code provided, including a full previous project. Run the program. See what happens, not much. Go into design mode as well. So there are two screens. Okay, so we are going to need to be able to switch back and forth between those screens. Once you're comfortable with the starter code, I don't know the point of that. Okay, so we already have that. Comfortable with the starter code. I'm not sure what they mean by that, but I guess that means just go on. All right, so now we're going to do some stuff to it. Create data. The app will need sample data for UI building, REST functionality at the top of the starter code. 3 objects for holding information created. First one, dummy values, and the other 2 are left for you to fill in. Okay, so let's. It's a shame that I think it's kind of confusing to see this all in purple blocks. But either way, we have key down when we're looking at view. Yeah, so this is wrapping around to make sure that we did this before with the photo album app, so that it would go to the last or to the next, back to the first index. Okay, so first let's go ahead and make some other contacts, and let's call this let's use letters so that it doesn't change or things change. So again, I don't want you to confuse indexes with let's call this 333. And 444. And 555. Birth date 2/2/72. 3/3/83, and that's still the first one. Okay, so we've created new a couple new objects. Let's get some different pictures. Let's see what we got here. Let's just go. Who doesn't like puppies? And let's get some save link address, and we'll go here. Wow, that's quite a link address. We'll see if it works. Oh no, it's copy image address, excuse me. Wow, this is difficult. There we go, that's better. Copy image address. I guess I could let you guys see this. Copy image address, and we'll put that here. Oh, I need another quotes on that one. And put another quotes here. Okay, and so we have 3 objects here. Contact 1, 2, and 3, each with their name, a phone number, birthday, and a picture. Does anything work now? No. Okay. And that is because we don't have, you can see the function that is supposed to start everything, show current contact. This function is blank. So we are going to need to create that. And let's see. Yeah. Use append to item. Okay, provide values. Make sure using the same properties. Sure. Use append to item. So what do we have here for? We have contact 1 is an object. 2, 3 contacts is a is going to keep track of them. We want to append an item to this list contacts, and our first one is contact 1. So we're going to copy this 2 more times. And so we're adding to our list called contacts, we're adding contact 1, contact 2, and contact 3. So now we have a list with 3 items in it, and each item is a complete object. And I'm guessing the next bubble we are going to display contacts with an array. Okay, yeah, let's console log down here at the bottom just to make sure everything is working, which is really the point of console log. We are going to console log the entire array called contacts, which has 3 objects in it, or 3 items. Each one is a complete object. Object 0 is this. I don't know why object... Did I mess this up? Contacts 1, 2, and 3. This should have more stuff in it. Why does it go to friend C? Append item contacts, contact 1, contact 2, contact 3. What happens if we switch the order? Why is this contact C is the only one that's getting information? Oh, because I have contact, I didn't change this. Okay, so this should be, I was adding contact. This is completely unrelated. All of this is completely unrelated to the object that it's supposed to be in, because I didn't, I'm not assigning it to the correct object. So this is all contact 2. This is all contact 3. Now we try. Yep, and there we go. So object, and it's out of order because I moved these around, which doesn't really matter. But we have friend A, friend B, okay. So what else does it want us to do on this bubble? Yep, that's it for this bubble. And in order to keep track of the current contact, current index, okay, current index is 0, so that's going to be referencing our list called contacts, and index 0 is the first item in the list. Event handler, change the variable left and right, arrows between 0 and the length of the array, okay, which looks like if event key dot left, index goes down 1, current index equals, and then it's running a return function, super awesome, which is then checking for whether it's too high or too low, which I think we're probably going to need to change. Okay, let's make show current context work. That's this function, that's our main function. Okay, set the text of contact info. Okay, contact info is this blank. Let's set it whenever we call it. We are going to, whenever this function is called, we are going to have contacts, which is our list of objects, index, and instead of choosing an index, it's going to be whatever that variable is, current index, yeah. Contacts index, current index dot name, and then anytime we call this function, it's going to find that list called contacts, figure out what the variable current index is, and then whatever that is behind name, it's going to display that in theory. No, it's not. Set text. Oh, I need to set text. That's right. Set text of, this is called contact info. Contact info, and we want to set it to this guy right there. I think this might work. Yep. So left arrow, right arrow. If I do right arrow, it goes to B, right arrow again, C, and right arrow again, it wraps around back to A. Okay, so that works. And at least our function show current contact, which you can see show current contact is called after every time a key is pressed. It checks if it's a left or right key, and then if it's a right key, it adds one to the value of current index, or left key takes one away from the value of current index, and then sets current index based on this return function and comes back with it changes the variable current index, which then is used in calling this show current index function, or show current contact function, which is referencing the list called contacts at whatever index, which each of the items in that list is an object that has a key called name, and it returns the value that corresponds to that name. Wow, that's a lot. Okay. So show full contact. So show current contact. We want a we want it to show all of the information, and we're going to use that \n to make a new line in our set text area, which is this. So we are going to set text of this contact info to first this, and then actually it should probably be within plus. Does \n need to be in quotes? Yes, it does. Quote \n quote plus. Let's just check it. So this should be on the first line. This should be on the second line. Yeah. Okay. Good. So \n does need to be in quotes. And so the second thing we want to show is phone. So contacts current index dot phone, which is not a string because it's like referencing a super useful and complex variable, and the key for that is just phone. For each one has the key value. Wow, that was weird. Huh, that's a thing. Dot phone, and let's test this. What did I mess up? Set text contacts plus dot phone. Oh, I have an extra. This I don't want. This I also don't want. That's not good. Okay, so, and then this I don't want. I think this might work. That all happened when I switched it to blocks. It gave me some extra semicolons. Okay, there we go. And so now we just need to add, what's the last one? Birthday. So we want a new line plus \n in a string plus contacts index current index dot birthday. And if it makes more sense, sometimes it might be easier to just put these on actual new lines in the code. As long as you don't have semicolons or commas or anything like that, the program will read it the same. Yeah, there we go. So we have our 3 friends, and we are good to go. All that stuff works, and we'll wrap around. Okay, so now we want to add the picture. So every time we call show current contact, which is our function, this is our function that starts the program. You can tell it's not in an event handler, it just runs right away. We also call it every time a key is pressed. And this function, show current contact, that looks ridiculous. We want to set image called image? Yeah, image URL. Set image URL. And the name it's called contact image. And we want to set it to whatever the contact we're looking at dot image URL. So it's going to be, let's do this in text, it'll be easier. We want, so it's going to be contacts index, current index, dot image URL. Is that how it is? Yes, image URL. This might work. Yeah, there we go. A, B, C, and it wraps around. Perfect. So we are now setting the image of, or setting this user interface element. This image is called contact image, referencing the URL of a picture from the object of each one. Okay, and bubble 13 get. Okay, so now we need the ability to add design mode. Go look at the IDs of 4 text input. Okay, so this is the add contact. We have name input, phone input, birthday input, and URL input. And we also have a save contact button. So we need to, it's going to be on event, save contact button. Save contact. Do we have an event handler for that? On event, the screen is pressed, that happens. On event, add contact button. So add contact button is this button. It switches to the screen. And then the back button just goes back without doing anything. We need an event handler that will handle the event of pressing the save contact button. So what do we want to do when this is called, let's just look at it from here, add contact screen. This is called save contact button. When save contact button is clicked, we want to create a so does this one just want to display or actually, I think this is just acting to console log. Let's see what 14 does. Is this actually writing the code? Yeah, this is actually writing the code to add the object to our array. This could be kind of complicated. We'll work through it. Okay, so back here we need to, when the save contact button is pressed, we want, here we're just console logging, I think. We want to console log get text, I guess. What does get text look like? I'm gonna do this with variables, so we'll do var new name gets something, and I'm initializing these variables inside of this event handler so that it's a local variable, so that it gets reset every time we use the save contact button. Var new phone and var new birthday and var new image URL. I'm not positive they expect this to how they want us to do it, but I'm pretty sure this will work. So we are going to create these variables that are get text from name input, I think it's called, and a get text from phone input, and get text from birthday input, and get text. Are they all treated as, yes, they're all strings, so it'd be get text. URL input, and then let's console log. Let's console log new name. And actually, let's do a bunch of console logs so we don't have to do like commas and stuff. Console log, and this is just to test. We will be using the same local variable strategy for, let's put this here, the same local variable strategy when we create our new object, but this is just to test. And I get rid of the puppies one. This guy looks cute. Copy image address. Okay, so we run it. Our stuff works. Oh, did I already use it? Whatever, it doesn't matter. Add contact, name. Well, that's not good. Give me a second here. Birthday, and let's see here if this works. And save contact. Yeah, so it did all that stuff. Okay, let me see. Hopefully this doesn't break things. How do you... maybe that will work. Hopefully this doesn't break everything. And let's reset. Hold on. Let's run. Save fill. Sorry, folks. Oh yeah, that's all I needed to do. Perfect. Okay. So we have the ability to add and save contact, and it prints those things. Okay. So carrying on, we now are going to need to write all of that information first. So let's work through this. We need to create a new item in our list called contacts. Okay, so first of all, we already have these variables set up to gather the information from that add contact screen. We are going to need to it's got to be .length, because that'll put it at the end. Actually, no, append always puts it at the end. So we are going to append item, append item. We're going to add an item to the end of contacts. That's the name of the list we want to add to, and the item is going to be called I want the item to always be called the last number, and I don't know if they're expecting us to do this, but let's this is getting sloppy. Var new contact item is going to be a string called contact plus, with no space because I want it to be contact plus contacts dot length, because that's how many items there are in the list. And if we missing semicolon, I disagree. And new contacts equal contacts. Call new contact item. I think this will work. And missing semicolon. I see a semicolon. Oh, is there not supposed to be a parentheses here? I don't think so. Okay, and first, to make sure, let's console.log new contact item. I just want to make sure that when we add an item to our list, it gets the name of contact and then however many items, so the new one will be the last thing. And so we add contact, contact 3. Okay, let's make it contacts.length +1. Run, add contact. So, oh no, not +1. Let's put this in parentheses because we already have a string there. We don't want it to be contact 3.1. We want it to be contact 4. Let's run, add contact, add some stuff. Contact 4. Okay. So there. So we have a way of getting a new contact item. Let's get rid of this. Okay, and new. I think we can do this without creating these variables. Because we are creating a new item, let's just get rid of these variables and go new contact item dot. Oh, it doesn't even need. Does it even need a? Contacts item dot new name gets. Let's after this, let's console log. Let's console log the entire list called contacts. Okay, we are expecting when we hit the save button for the last object to have whatever we put in name. So, and save contact, error line. New contact item. There's got to be a better way to do this. Okay, let's say var new contact item equals a blank object, and then we're adding a blank object to our list, and I really don't expect all of you to follow all of this. Whoa. Is this broken? Let's refresh. Okay, so our last object should have a name. New name equals that. Okay, so we've got it working. That's good. Let's not call it new name. Let's just call it name. Dot name. And we're going to do this for all of them. Need to make sure that the key for each object is still case sensitive. And so we're kind of undoing a lot of that stuff. It needs to be dot image URL and dot birthday, and I guess we don't need any of this stuff since it is unneeded. Let's not delete it yet, just in case. Run, add contact, save contact. Save contact should, oh wait, no, I do want this. We're almost done, folks, stay with me. Save contact should give us the full array that has 4 objects, and the last object has the stuff we just slammed in there. Good. Okay. We also want save contact to switch it back to the main screen. So we want add contact button to go to the add contact screen. Back button goes back to the view contact screen without doing anything. But we also want save contact button to go back to the view contact screen. So let's try this. Beautiful. And we probably want it to go directly to the last to whatever item. So we are going to set the variable current index to the length of the list so that it goes to the one that we just added, because the one we added to the end. So we're going to set current index to contacts dot length -1, I think. Okay, so we'll add one. Nope. Let's just go contacts.length. Try that. Run, add contact. Oh, we have to do show current contacts. That's what we need. We need to call the function again. That's why. And now let's see if it's... Nope. Okay, yeah. So we need to go down one. Contacts.current index is not defined. Current index is contacts.length -1. Yeah. And we'll add a contact. Yay. Okay, so it works. All right. Save contact, append the item, run the code, add a new contact, debug the program. Okay, I'm happy with that so far. And showing new contacts. Okay, yeah, so that's what we just did. Add code. Oh yeah, here's another thing. We didn't run a clear function where if we add all of this stuff and we hit save contact, go to goes to that. If we go back to add contact, it'll be there. So let's either in add contact, or we switch to that screen, or save contact. Somewhere we need to clear all that stuff out. So let's just make a new function called clear everything, and we can call it clear inputs, and let's do set text for everything, all those inputs. Set text of what's going to be to a blank, and we have 4 inputs, I think, and the inputs are called name, URL input, birthday input, name input, and phone input. So now when we go to add contact, we add some stuff. And, oh wait, we need to call this function. Never mind. Okay, so we need, where are we going to call this function? We are going to call this function when we click the save button. It doesn't matter if we call it when we click, if we click the add contact button, it can clear it as we go to it, or it can clear it, but either way, it's not going to be apparent to the user. Okay, so we run, add contact. Wow, we've already been going over an hour. Save contact, it goes to it. Then when we go to add contact, it's blank. Good. All right, so there's a couple other things. It's supposed to add this image. Do I have the image URL somewhere? Copy image address. And let's run, add contact. Okay, so we want it to show a tiny preview here, which is something that was from before. I don't think that it's on this bubble. I think we've got bubble 15 down. Let's go to the last one. This might do the preview picture. Show sample image, yeah. Okay, so when we go to the add contact screen, we now have an image called preview image. And when we actually put anything into here, it should give a preview of the picture before it's actually added to anything. So while we're still on the screen, it should show us a preview. So let's go ahead and add an event handler for, not for preview image, for the input. Which is going to be this guy. Let's put our event handlers up here. On event here. Okay, so if anything goes into that input, we are going to set image URL of this image, which is called preview image, to get text. The same way we are adding an item to the save contact. So let's see here if we run, add a contact, name, phone, birthday, and an image. Hey, there we go. And we save a contact, and now it's in there. And we have our app. I believe that's it. And that is it. Yep, that's it for lesson 8. And unless there are any questions, that's where we're going to call it. Mr. Drusi, do you see any questions that need further addressing?
No, I've been answering some people in the
Yeah, I see that. I appreciate that.
chat down there. People are just learning now about the grading policy for marking period 4. So it's a matter of like the follow instructions thing that, you know, teachers always do. It's like, you should follow instruction. And then there is an email, I guess, someone sent you. They would like you to check out. I saw that as well.
Okay, give me a second.
But that is all from me.
Somebody sent me an email. Okay, Jim Abel from 11:32. I don't think he's watching anymore. Oh, well, that sounds like a personal thing. I'll get back to you, Abel, and let's see. Well, I guess that's it. Okay.
Some people were curious if this is required work.
I mean, it's an assignment. Like, we're gonna make lesson 13 or new unit, final unit. Bubble or lesson 8 is going to be a checked assignment, just like any of the other lessons. So, you know, do it or don't do it. Those are really your two options.
That's
Yeah, and we'll post in Classroom and on the calendar that it's due and all that.
Yeah, that's a thing. Okay. All right. So we are gonna get out of here, and we may or may not stream later this week. We'll probably have one more stream this week, and just to wrap everything up. And yeah, that's about it. All right. Well, we'll see you next time.
I was following the eye, 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 was following the pack, all swallowed in their coats, with scarves of red tied round their throats, to keep their little heads from falling in the snow. And I turned round and there you go, and Michael, you would fall and turn the white snow red as strawberries in the summertime. I was following the pack, all swallowed in their coats, with scarves of red tied round their throats, to keep their little heads from falling in the snow. And I turned round and there you go, and Michael, you would fall and turn the white snow red as strawberries in summertime. I was following the pack, all swallowed in their coats, with scarves of red tied round their throats, to keep their little heads from falling in the snow. And I turned round and there you go, and Michael, you would fall and turn the white snow red as strawberries in summertime. I was following the eye, was following the eye, was following the eye, was following the eye, was following the